You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Glad you can join me on a Saturday right here on All Things Sports with Mike Davis. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, do yourself a favor, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, do the same thing. Comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Shoot, give it a dislike if you don't like the video. Make sure you go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for any comments or any suggestions. I won't take up much more of your time. Let's get into it. All right. So before I start the show, I wanted to address one of my previous podcasts that I did with the Phoenix Suns, and someone had commented. I didn't get the guy's name, but he commented saying how apparently I know too much, and gave me a thumbs down in the comment. Normally I already know that you're not going to please everybody, so I see it. Sometimes I don't see it, but if I do see it, I just see it, I keep on moving. But my thing is, instead of saying that, I talk too much, it seemed like he was a Phoenix Suns fan and maybe he didn't like what I had to say about the Suns. How about in the comments section, as I've stated before, reply to me as far as, what is it that you disagree with me about with whatever I'm saying, Maybe, like I said, it seemed like he was a Suns fan and didn't like the fact that I said, look, the Suns are good. Suns are a good team, but they're not going anywhere. It is what it is. And part of the reason is because they have Chris Paul. And I know that sounds crazy saying that, being that Chris Paul is such a, look, he's going to go down as one of the greatest point guards of all time. But he just has that Charles Barkley factor, slash Dan Marino factor that is tied along to him, where it seems like it doesn't matter wherever he goes, he's just not going to win, And I'm not knocking Chris Paul, but it is what it is, Phoenix is having one of the best seasons of any NBA team this season. And one thing that's going to stop them this season is lack of experience, lack of playoff experience. Devin Booker has never played in a playoff game, a playoff series. And look, Phoenix started off like this. You can go back last season to the bubble when Phoenix got off to a hot start, and it's carried over into this season. It's carried over into this season, and Phoenix is just playing outstanding ball. I believe they are the second seed in the West, but the matchups that they're going to get, it's not favorable for them. I mentioned that the playoff standings stay the way it is, which I don't think, because of the stupid playing situation they're going to have this year. Let's say Phoenix won the locked up the number one seed. Let's say they took it away from Utah, and then they will be matched up against Memphis. We're just speaking hypothetically, just what ifs. Yeah, I do think they'll beat Memphis, but in that next round they're going to run into either Denver or the LA Lakers. So at the end of the day, right now, Phoenix looks like my Atlanta Hawks. My old Atlanta Hawks. If you remember the Atlanta Hawks, especially in the 90s, the Atlanta Hawks, Lenny Wilkins, coach team, Steve Smith, Dikembe Mutombo, Christian Laettner, a team that would get you 50 wins a season. And then they'll make the second round of the playoffs, and that will be it. No different than my Hawks in the 2000s, the 2010s. You look at my Hawks teams with Al Horford and Kyle Korver and Paul Millsap. You look at those teams. Yeah, they'll get you 50 wins, and then the second round, they're out. That's where the Phoenix Suns are at right now. So I just wanted to address that, So like I said, look, I have no problems with anybody who disagrees with my views on whatever team I'm talking about or whatever sport. But, hey, look, drop a comment in the comment section and tell me why you disagree with me. Don't just say, I know too much. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into the reason why we are here. So, look, it's not much going on in the sports world today, but I did see an article that I think would brighten your day if you are a fan of old NFL throwbacks as far as jerseys, except for the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't know what those were. Remember when Donovan McNabb played with them and they wore these jerseys that looked like they were from 1940? They were horrible. All right, so I was reading an article, and it was talking about the NFL one shell rule. Now, for those of you that don't know what the one shell rule is, that is the rule in the NFL where players can only use one helmet throughout the entire season. Now, for the past 7 years, the NFL had that rule in place, but it appears now that the rule could be changing in the near future, which means that we might be able to see the return of some of the classic throwback uniforms, starting with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Buccaneers used to wear their creamsicle throwbacks all the time, but decided to stop back in 2013 after the NFL passed its one helmet rule. Now, there are ongoing discussions for a potential change for the 2021 season, but no decisions have been made. As for other teams that could potentially benefit, there's the Patriots, the Broncos, Eagles, Falcons, Bills, and the Seahawks. And now the one helmet rule was put into place as a way to improve player safety. If the rule is scrapped starting in 2021, that means multiple teams around the league will be able to start wearing their throwback helmets again. Now, I never understood this one helmet rule. If you play baseball, you wore more than one helmet while you're playing. I didn't get that what the NFL was doing. I'll give you a better example. Motorcycles. I like riding motorcycles. Now, I haven't rode in a while, but when I was riding, I had two helmets. So it really is about comfort. So I'm not sure where well, I won't say that. Look, I do get it, but I don't agree with it, with the one shell rule that they have in place. Like I said, though, I do understand, though, as a player, it's comfort. You do want to go with what you're used to. So I think this is something that could have been taken care of in the past during the offseason, before the season started. Players are getting sized for helmets anyway, So I have a son who goes through it every year, who plays football. And, he goes through, we take him and, we get his helmet sized and we see what's comfortable for him. A lot of times it's the padding in the helmet, you don't like. And look, it's no different from a motorcycle helmet. You can take the padding out of a motorcycle helmet. And this is just me trying to give you an example for those who don't understand why the NFL has this one shell rule in place. You want something that you're used to. And I think the NFL just want to say, all right, one helmet, you're fine with that helmet. It's safe. We roll with that for the season. But you really could have went two helmets. I mean, I don't see how, you couldn't have two helmets. I know trying to spray paint a helmet is going to take forever, with them being that they play every week with the exception of the bye week. Trying to spray paint, 55 helmets, 53 helmets for the next game just really isn't feasible. I don't know. Maybe they could if they had the manpower. I'm pretty sure they have enough money to get the manpower, but that's not up to me. But look, guys, you could potentially be seeing your favorite teams back in the throwbacks. I love the old Broncos throwback with the light blue helmet with the Bronco inside of the letter D blowing out the steam. I love the old school Patriot white helmet. I wasn't a fan of my Falcons red helmet. Never really was a fan of that. I do like the Seahawks old school silver helmet. Remember when they played all those games back in the Kingdom? Dave Craig as the quarterback. Chris Warren. Anybody remember Chris Warren, running back for the Seahawks? That's a name you don't hear quite often. Buffalo Bills, I really didn't care much for the red Buffalo Bills helmet. That did nothing for me, but it is what it is. All right, guys. So, like I said, it's a slow day in sports today. So, let's go ahead and move on to this day in sports. April 24th, back in 1994, David Robinson ties the 7th highest total in NBA history as far as scoring points, as he had 71 points in a game. Back then, that's equivalent to Kobe Bryant putting up his 81. Remember when Kobe put up the 80? And at that time, a lot of kids never seen nothing like that. And for me, when I was growing up, it was David Robinson when he put up the 71 points. I remember he had a crazy stat line that game, but that's another name that I'm glad he's in the Hall of Fame, but I think people overlook him, especially when it comes to the success of the Spurs. It kind of just overlooks David Robinson and goes straight to Tim Duncan. But David Robinson was a big part of those Spurs teams, and he won 2 titles. Even on the last title, he was on his way out the door when he won the last title. And, he wasn't the David Robinson of old, but he was still David Robinson. Hey, look, that's all I got for you today, folks. I thank you for including my podcast into your day. If you're listening on Spotify, follow the podcast. If you're on YouTube, comment, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Go to the Facebook page to get in contact with the show for any comments or any suggestions. Nothing else. I got nothing else, guys. You've been listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis. And remember, it's your world. I'm just giving my opinion. I'm out. Peace.
You're listening to All Things Sports with Mike Davis.